It depends on which computer model it decides to follow, but it's going to cut right.
And once again, this live stream is kicking off, showing the end time on the prior as though it's recording over that Nerd Squad, and then it bounces to 0. It is 6:14 a.m. PST, Friday, June 13th, 2025. This is a consensual recording of Mystic Gwen pursuant to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's instructions. I'm not an employee of the FBI, but I've been authorized to state I am an informant for a year straight. And in fact, I've been an informant since 2017, as the Everett Police Department has known about, since I did indeed report them and their officers, such as Jared Irving, in 2017 for threatening every major felony made actionable during the 300-plus days of my being illegally detained by their police department via the unit directly above my home. The only exception is to murder me in a way that is deemed a suicide, and that is where we are now. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds absurd and crazy. Yes, it does, but it's also 100% true. You're going to need to go to numerous prior live streams here on this channel. Read in the descriptions, and you will see forensics details on there. For instance, they're using man in the middle, Cisco network, root and kernel access, fraudulent Google certificates. After they kidnapped me, a threat first reported in August 2024, made actionable in March 2025. They illegally and criminally entered my home and shoved USB devices into my devices in order to gain root access to prevent video and audio footage. Also setting up the devices via their network to eject all storage devices to prevent the recording of any video and audio footage. Why? To perpetrate the one remaining felony from 2017's FBI reports that hasn't been made actionable. To murder me in a way that is deemed a suicide. Their plans were to make that actionable yesterday. Then it's become today. Concurrently, they're attempting to starve me. They've instructed my neighbor next door to the north of me not to go and get me or my cat any food for the entire month, although he's had my debit card since last month.
And you can see there's this.
I had a stockade, not spelled S-T-O-C-K, but S-T-A-L-K, as the Everett Police Department has been stalking me for, in some instances, 8+ years. And in more recent instances, such as the individuals responsible for illegally detaining me for 300+ days, for 3 years, 2 years, and a year and a half, depending on who we're looking at and talking about.
There is more to talk
Excuse me, not a year and a half, over a year and a half.
Very carefully.
Now, I am going to direct you to go to youtube.com/mysticgwen. That's my real YouTube channel. They locked me out of being able to access along with all of my accounts to prevent me from getting any supplies since April Fool's Day.
If you have
my stockade is now limited to a few years expired cereal, raspberry jam,
ones are the short ones.
And 2 packets of oatmeal.
Be able to read so much on the air before we begin taking calls. So if you have a really good ghost story.
If this live stream ends for any reason without me orally and explicitly telling you the end time, then I did not end it. Their domestic terrorist organization did. If you are seeing this, it is an SOS message. Send this message to the Snohomish County sheriffs who they've been preventing me from communicating with, as well as preventing me from filing reports to, as well as preventing me from calling, just like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, via cookies, internal partitions, blocking all communications, and the fact that they criminally and illegally shut off my ability to make a phone call the day they began illegally detaining me on August 6th. And have since prevented not 1, not 2, but over 5 different cellular providers and brand new cell phones from activating to illegally detain me and perpetrate a series of felonies reported in tort claim filed in case number 10500594 on August 14th, 2024. They have complete control of all devices. They're either being hindered or there are active whistleblowers upstairs preventing them from ending these YouTube live streams.
We will once again.
I repeat, this is not a joke. This is an SOS. You have an obligation, even as a civilian, if you're seeing this, to contact the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, the Seattle FBI Field Office, or
about
even
this
the
in my
Department of
book, I'll go very
Homeland
small
Security.
rant. It's an
They are all
insane,
aware of this domestic
insane thing,
terrorist
in my opinion.
organization. See
To
the
have to,
description in
twice
prior
a
live
year,
streams.
either turn back
Note that
or
forensic
go
details on their
forward
man in
1
the
hour.
middle,
Just
root
insane.
access, use of
Why would
Verizon, their
I
use
have
of
no
a litany
idea
of other
whatsoever.
things and configurations are available
Now,
on
I'm
Google
going to cut my
servers.
rant short this
Most
year
recently, ones
for the following
associated to
reason.
emails they have rendered
I now live in a
useless,
country
such as
that sanely
unit blocking
does
sign
not
in,
change
unit
their
blocking
locks.
at
Now, the only
gmail.com,
impact this will have on
unit
me
blocking sign in,
is
unit
instead of
blocking
beginning
at
my show at 1 o'clock
gmail.com,
in the afternoon,
and
I
North
will now be able
Everett
to get another
Precinct
hour of sleep and begin my
207
show
guilty
at 2
at
o'clock in the
gmail.com.
afternoon.
North Everett
So it's fine by
Precinct
me.
207 guilty
But
at
for everybody across the
gmail.com.
contiguous
This is running on a Lenovo
48
ThinkPad from my
states,
eldest son's Gmail
it's a
account.
pain in the butt. There are a few states,
The
namely
HP
Arizona and a few
Chromebook,
others, that
which
sanely
they have
don't
rendered
do
useless
this
in any
crazy
capacity other
thing.
than my ability
But
to
for the
play
rest of
YouTube
you,
or
a
Spotify
reminder, you're
info,
going to have to turn your clocks back
is running
at
a
or
different
before 2 a.m.
Gmail
For a lot
account
of you, that
created
means
for
3,
them.
beginning right now.
The handle on
Now,
that
I have
one,
about
which has a
30,
YouTube channel that
50
cannot be
clocks.
used
I
for
have
live
just insane
streams,
number of
is
clocks.
at
And I would
North
have to
Everett
begin in the early
Precinct of
evening, and by
Stalkers.
showtime, I would have them all
At North
pretty well
Everett
turned
Precinct
back,
of
except the one that I was
Stalkers.
going to use
The
for
email address,
air.
I believe, is
So,
epd207terroristcell at gmail.com. Let's check that, though, and make sure that's correct. It's also a useless email. I have no way of using email whatsoever. Any attempts to do so are instantly met with cyber attacks and them preventing emails from going out. So this is at epd207terroristcell at gmail.com. Again, the handle on the YouTube channel for this one is at North Everett Precinct of Stalkers. There is multiple tours of my home in prior live streams. There's multiple information in my prior live streams descriptions. The description on this video and the two that preceded it are pretty similar. A lot of repeated information and slight updates. Keep in mind that the live streams that preceded those three have much more details, and I am aware that Unit 207 indoor YouTube blocked the viewing of one 12-hour long video because I played music. So I will attempt to not play music. This video is currently set to unlisted, but will be made public in a moment when I tell you that it is. First, I'm going in to select the recording date for the 13th and to impute my address. Also, I am being illegally detained at the same location. That is my home address of 13 years, 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington. I am in Unit 105. They are in the condo directly above mine, though they've used all of my neighbors on the north and south end to perpetrate felonies against me, most notably attempting to starve and kill my cat and I via my neighbor Russ since last month, who was helpful until their rampant request. Keep in mind, Russ will be testifying against them in federal court. So I am now going to make this video public, and then I will start putting into the top chat the details that are in the description, as well as any updates that occur while this is being filmed, and there's certain to be some. There always is. As far as the chat goes, other than me putting the description in, you'll have to check back in real time for those additional updates. At the end of this live stream, there is likely to be a brand new description in the next episode, which won't have all of the information listed in this episode, but will instead have information about what happened during the recording of this episode. If you're wondering what Unit 207 is up to now, it sounds like many of the whistleblowers who have decided they don't want to go to prison for attempting to murder me are not necessarily in agreement with those individuals that have known from the beginning what the plan was and where we would be at today. Now, that's speculative, but it definitely sounds as though there is not cohesion amongst their, quote, ranks. Oh, and those email addresses that I referenced and said that there were details and evidence on the Google servers, those details and evidence are available on the Google servers tied to Gemini AI, although do keep in mind they've been using fraudulent and criminal Google certificates, which they've prevented me from being able to remove since December or January when they took the FBI's cellular bait in order to perpetrate their remaining premeditated felonies that were reported from September 2023 onward. And they did, and those have already been perped. Again, all that is remaining now is the felony, the one and only felony reported in 2017 that hasn't been made actionable, which is to murder me in a way that is deemed a suicide, which is why there has been over 3 months of attempts now to prevent any sort of video or audio footage so that I can be shot by an officer, and a made-up fabricated story will be made up and used against me, as they have made a pattern of doing since August of 2024, like they premeditated since September of 2023 and beyond, in many instances since 2017, as I've said. Now, if you go to youtube.com/mysticgwen, there are 2 videos you need to watch, which will give you 4 hours of information, and all you need to know beyond that information is, yes, indeed, they made actionable every single thing that I stated. Again, the only exception is the one remaining threat from their former commanding officer who thought retirement would prevent his detainment and arraignment, and others, and that is to murder me in a way that is deemed a suicide, and that is why they have been actively attempting to prevent video and audio footage. That is the plan. The plan is to make up some sort of fabricated story about, I don't know, whatever story they can think of. She was eating cereal. I thought it was a gun, so I shot her in the head. I have no fucking idea. But that's where we're at. I'm almost done here. Copying into the chat. The 2 videos with 4 hours of information that you need to take in, all of which, again, was made actionable, are on youtube.com/mysticgwen. First, listen to the 12/30/2024. That's the publication date. Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett precinct of fraudsters, the stalker, the extortionist, et al. Be advised, everything reported therein, all made actionable since and before. The second video, again, that's 12/30/2024. Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett precinct of fraudsters, the stalker, extortionists, et al. Just under 2 hours runtime. Everything reported therein has since been made actionable. The next one you want to check out is 2/16/2025. The title just says 2/16. 3 a.m. debrief. That's another one. Ever since that was published, everything stated therein has since been made actionable. Everything stated therein has since been made actionable. Then beyond that, we have, again, I repeat, the reason this is an SOS, the reality of the situation, the one and only fucking felony that's not been made actionable, to murder me in a way that is deemed a suicide. So go check out those videos. There will be a tour of my house. I'm not in the mood to do it just yet. So whenever I get to that, you'll see it. But there's tours in all of the prior videos. So if you really are inclined to snoop around my house, go check those out. The house looks just the same as it did in all of the numerous tours on youtube.com/mysticgwen. The only exception is the exterior, because with their last kidnapping, they criminally and illegally vandalized my home, broke in, planted evidence, tampered with evidence, attempted to set up their perpetration of this remaining felony to murder me, moved things from inside of my house, outside of my house, all criminally, illegally, unlawfully, and without a warrant, all knowingly and intentionally. And removing of signs that had been on file and hanging up addressed directly to them, as well as Passover decor, so that they could perp that final murder, the final murder. So now there are signs hanging on the interior, because the FBI said to leave the exterior exactly how they left it, because they're going to be charged for that. So the exterior looks revolting. And again, that's because of the Everett Police Department. That's their vandalism and destruction. That's their attempts to remove legal signage to perpetrate a fucking murder. So now there are signs that have been hanging in the exterior that are dated on the top corner of the first sign for May 19th, explaining how these idiots have rejected dozens and dozens of legitimate police reports before, after enduring their crimes, that they're a domestic terrorist organization. It states some of the crimes they are guilty of, including but not limited to kidnapping, extortion, stalking, theft, cyber attacks, illegal detainment, yada, yada, yada. And then it very clearly states that they're attempting to starve me and my cat, which they're still doing. That was May 19th, which in some instances they've been trying to do since November 2024. No joke. Go back and check out the youtube.com/mysticgwen channel. And then it says the closer, which is arrest your fellow co-conspirators and domestic terrorists, or embrace your prison sentence. And yet here I am, waiting to be shot and murdered by them, while being starved and illegally detained and prevented from working and everything else they've been guilty of. And rather than coming to collect their prize of a life sentence without parole, they're sticking their fingers up one another's assholes. Okay, now I'm going to cut and paste the description of this video and attempt to send it via feedback on Google. Yesterday, this was used as an attack to disconnect me from google.com and terminate the live stream, which was accomplished one time successfully with me pushing the feedback button and the other time without me doing it. The feedback button has been pressed and it appears. Okay, feedback sent. I'm going to change the title of this video, clicking on edit. Title originally read as 6:13, 6 a.m. Mystic Gwen, FBI informant under threat of murder by Everett Police Department, SOS, see DES. Retitling it to 6:13, Everett Police Department attempting to murder me, the one remaining felony they haven't made actionable. It'll be action ab because too many characters. Actually, I'll get rid of 6:13. Everett Police Department attempting. I'll change it to attempt to murder me, the one remaining felony they haven't made actionable. SOS. That's the new title. So new title reads as Everett Police Department attempt to murder me, the one remaining felony they haven't made actionable. SOS. Saving it at 6:37 a.m. If you're wondering, well, is there anything new? Well, some people upstairs are acting like it's a surprise that, oh, yes, every crime she's reported has been made actionable except for that one. And some are not surprised and are like, no fucking shit. No fucking shit. And that would be the whistleblowers. Anyway, here we are. Can't fucking do anything. Surely. I can't do anything. I can't even eat a delicious meal. One thing I can do, though, is listen to Joe Rogan. So I'm putting on Joe Rogan's podcast episode from yesterday, Ken Burns.
Joe Rogan podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
During my day, Joe Rogan podcast by night.
All day.
All right, we're up. Mr. Burns. Pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm a huge fan, dude. I've been watching your work for so long, and I've always had so many questions about how a person like you becomes a person like you, how you become the preeminent documentarian of our time. I mean, you have so much work out there. It's really extraordinary. And all of it on PBS, right?
Right, all of it.
Which is also extraordinary.
You know, it's the public broadcasting service. It's the Declaration of Independence applied to communications, just as the national parks, you could say, was the Declaration of Independence applied to the landscape. Like manifestations of really American things. It may not seem obvious to us, but it seemed obvious to me that that's where I should go. So I had lots of, I headed for the hills out in New York, 46 years ago, because I thought I was taking a vow of anonymity and poverty to do this stuff. And I've lived in the same house that I've lived in since then. I've been in the same bedroom for 46 years in this tiny little village in New Hampshire. And when the first film was nominated for an Academy Award, that was a film called Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody said, "Oh, you're coming back to New York, you're going to LA." And I said, I'm staying here. It's so labor intensive. And I can sit here in front of you and tell you that every single one of my films is a director's cut. I'm not going to sit here and give you an excuse. Well, that one, they wouldn't let me do this, or they didn't give me this amount of time. And so I could, with the reputation I have, go into a streaming service or a premium cable and say, I need $30 million to do a history of the Vietnam War. And they'd give it to me. But they wouldn't give me the 10.5 years it took me to tell. You see what I mean?
It's the time.
It's the time and the ability to marinate the ideas, to do the deep dive into the scholarship, to triangulate the various scholarships, as you know better than anybody. There's lots of different viewpoints and perspectives, and you want to find a way in which you can kind of, if not average them out, you can find a way in which you can understand them and you can have a conversation. It's a sort of a campfire on which you can discuss the complexity and the undertow of any subject. You pick it, the Brooklyn Bridge, the American Revolution, most recently. Yeah.
How early on did you realize that the only way to get this like full autonomy was to do with PBS?
There was also a female federal felon that just walked past that window. I don't know if the camera caught it. I could see her skinny little shins. It was either Kelly, federal felon Kelly,
From folks and the people who
is involved and was written in the tort claim, her and her husband both,
humanities,
employed by
They all
DCYF,
required me to give it
threatened
for
me.
free. Because they still
Brother
do
is
PBS.
her husband is the brother of an Everett Police Department officer. Threatened me to use the police for no reason whatsoever to harass and terrorize me.
Of the communion of
Stalked me at their
strangers in
behest.
dark rooms, the cinematic experience. the
They're going to
cinematic
prison. They did
You know,
blow the
it's
whistle, or at
okay.
least
I'm
one of them
trading
did, so
hundreds,
perhaps
maybe
they're not both
thousands of
going to
viewers for
prison.
Millions of viewers on a smaller screen,
Or
and they're not watching it
the
together,
skinny
but
girl
they're-
upstairs that
they're
likes to
having
come
an
outside of my
experience, and I
house and
can-
wave her
I can do
Google
something
stick so
over
she can make sure
time.
she gets
I
the
can do a
maximum
Civil War
prison.
series, and it can be 11 and a half, 12 hours, and get deep into that.
But I'm gonna
experience of
assume
Vietnam,
it
which
was
is
Kelly.
18 hours, 10 episodes, or
Because her condo's
country
in that
music,
direction.
national parks, jazz, baseball. I mean, there are like 40 different things. And
American Buffalo.
American Buffalo.
Time is
Most
6:42 a.m.
recently, Leonardo da Vinci, the first non-American topic, or just finishing the American Revolution, is just, it was right for me. It was right for me. And I like the fact that they have, PBS has one foot in the marketplace and the other out. That foot is tentatively there. And so it also reaches all parts of the country. It's the largest network in the country, 330 stations, and they really serve rural stations mostly. It's not this Upper West Side, Nob Hill, snobby kind of thing. It's Homeland Security and crop reports and weather and continuing education and Classroom of the Air, as well as children's programming and what I think is a pretty damn good prime time schedule. So it works in the context of all of America, not just some of America.
So this is sort of a fortuitous sort of a thing that you came to be
I think so. I mean,
cooperative with them?
the filmmaking thing was born in tragedy. My mom got cancer when I was 2 years old. There's never a moment when she wasn't dying that I was aware. She died when I was 11, a few months short of my 12th birthday. And my dad had a pretty tough curfew for my younger brother and me, but he forgave it if there was a movie on TV that might go till 1 a.m. a school night. Or he'd take me out to, the cinema and see like Old Silence or French New Wave that was happening in the mid 60s. And I saw my dad cry for the first time. He didn't cry when she was dying, didn't cry when she died, didn't cry at this impossibly sad funeral. But we were watching this movie called
And you might be wondering, how bored are you? I have been bored out of my fucking mind for about 280 of these fucking days of being illegally
very
detained.
tragic. And I saw him cry, and I got it immediately. That provided him with this safe haven to express himself in a way nothing in his life, for whatever reasons, for his own psychology, his own history, his own traumas, his own whatever it is. He didn't, and I said, that's what I want to do. And it wasn't about sentimentality or nostalgia. It was about authentic emotional stuff, higher emotional stuff. The way our founders would talk about, we'd be able to create a republic where you'd have higher emotions. Nothing sentimental about it. It's that you would just get closer, be more virtuous. And so I said,
and truly, I can say, as a
I was
legally
doing
ordained
a
minister,
stalker
freelance
on
author who
Florida
provides
on
confidential
Holocaust,
advice, as I have been since
directors, and I went to
2013, and as has been
Hanford College in
adjudicated in
Amherst,
every
Massachusetts,
United State
which was
and
a
U.S.
brand new
territory.
experimental school. Came in its second year in 1970.
That the best and
all of the
smartest thing
teachers
all
there
of you
were
fucking
social
idiots can do is
documenters, still
immediately
photographers,
contact the
filmmakers, and
sheriffs,
they
the
reminded
bureau,
me
and completely
correctly
surrender.
that there
That's
is
what you
as
should
much
be doing.
trauma
That's what
in
you should
what
have done
is
yesterday.
and what
It's what you
was
should have done last
as
week.
anything
It's
that
what you
can
should have done a
imagine.
month ago.
Right?
And it should most
Mm.
certainly
So,
be done
which was
ASAP
fine,
before you're
but
all
of a
looking
sudden,
at
my march
attempts
was
and or
rearranged
successful
again. I'm
murder
now just a
charges.
filmmaker going to hopefully go to Hollywood. I'm now a documentary filmmaker, and all
And then
that
perhaps
march
the
with this
bureau
latent,
will come and feed me, or the
you know,
sheriffs,
I don't know how to describe it, love
and I'll
of
be
my country
released
and its
at
history.
long
Where
last.
everybody else growing up with reading novels,
But you won't
and
do
stuff
that.
Like that. I was reading encyclopedias and reading histories
Because you
trying to
haven't.
get at some
But that
aspect
should be what you
of who we
do.
are, and I think every
You should be
single
doing
film
that right
that I've
now.
made
You should be out of
has
Unit
asked the same question.
207
Who
on the
are we?
fucking
Who are those
phone.
strange and complicated people who like to call themselves Americans? And what doesn't investigate
All you're
their past tell us about
doing
not
is
only
delaying you going
where
to
we've
prison,
been, but where we are and where we may be
further
going, which is a great
torturing
gift of
me,
history. It's the best teacher we have.
and trying to murder me. That's all you're doing
Things about documentary work, and particularly your work, is
right
it
now. You think you're
provides
talking
this
and you know
entertainment
you have
pathway
plans.
to
No,
education,
what you're doing
where
is what I
it's
just said.
engrossing and gripping and fascinating.
This
It's
shit
really
needs to
well
be over with
edited,
today.
Music
Should have
and
been over with a
there's
long time ago. Should
recreations of
never
these
been.
scenes, and it makes becoming educated
Get me the
fascinating.
fuck out of
It
here
makes it
and feed
exciting.
me.
Where instead of the stale, boring classrooms a lot of children face, if they could be exposed to something like your piece on Vietnam.
Right.
Was it 18 hours?
18 hours,
18
10
hours.
episodes.
I mean, that piece on Vietnam is so fascinating. It's so incredible. And to see the people that survived it express. So like there's this one moment where one of the guys is realizing that they're about, and it's just the very simple statement. He goes, "Okay, here we go. We're going to war," and you could see it in his face, him recalling that. And you're like, you don't get that from the written word. Seeing that man's face, him recounting it,
And you don't get it from churning it out either. So I spent
Right.
5.5 years working on the Civil War, and I really was like daunted by it. But all of the first 5 or 6 films that I've made, the Brooklyn Bridge wouldn't have been built without this new metal called steel, which the Civil War helped to promote the use of. The second film on the celibate religious sect, the Shakers, wouldn't have declined so precipitously, not because they were celibate. Celibacy exists in lots of religious traditions, but because a country that had just murdered 650,000 of its own people was not interested after the Civil War in the questions of the soul survival in the intensity that it had before the Civil War. Next film I made was on the Statue of Liberty, and it was originally a gift from the French to Mrs. Lincoln to commemorate the survival of the Union despite her husband's ultimate sacrifice. The next film was on Huey Long, the turbulent Southern demagogue. He came from a North Louisiana parish that refused to secede from the Confederacy. I mean, refused to secede from the Union. They saw the Confederacy, the ownership of slaves, as a rich man's cause. And so they became a hotbed of capitalism and populism, and later would spawn this swamp thing called Huey Long. We made a film on the history of the Congress.
Quit doing shit from your fucking use of backdoors and whatnot. Get on the phone, you dumb idiots. You think you're being smooth. You're
The
increasing your
Congress,
prison
obviously, the most
sentence.
important time in the Congress was
You are
when,
actively
military
at this
Congress,
moment
one
trying to
in,
murder me.
Washington, obviously, one in Montgomery.
Step
one
away
in
from the
Richmond.
fucking keyboard,
I began
go
to see the
outside
totality
and make a
after the
call,
Civil
you
War was
fucking
finished.
cowards.
And it was really just brought to light by
Surrender!
the voices of the people that what you're talking about. Well, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't want to do another film on war. The guys, both North and South, who've been in it, who said, here we go, were, he said they'd seen the elephant. That's how they described it. They said they'd seen the elephant. I assume it was the most exotic thing they could think of. That's what combat was, something that no one else experiences, seeing the elephant. And we just, even removed from it, we're just looking at still photographs, still got us to our core. And we just first said, we're not going to do any more war films. And then at the end of the 90s, the Civil War came out in 1990, the end of the 90s, we were working on lots of things, baseball and jazz and biographies on Frank Lloyd Wright, Lewis and Clark, and Mark Twain, and all sorts of stuff. Jack Johnson later on. I heard that lots of graduating seniors, high school students walking off the podium with a diploma, think we fought with the Germans against the Russians in the Second World War, and that 1,000 veterans.
You think
American
I'm
veterans
joking,
of the
but I'm
Second
not.
World War were dying each
If
day
you guys
in
don't
America
end
and
this
was
shit
caught.
today and surrender,
We're losing them. And by the way, that figure today,
you're in big
it's just
doo-doo.
actuarially true that it's
Deep
not
doo-doo.
1,000 anymore. It's maybe 5 or 6 today. And pretty soon it'll
Better
be
send
nothing.
this fucking
And
video
it'll be
right
gone
off
and
to the
looking. So
sheriffs.
I wanted to make a film about that. Before the ink was dry,
Now.
the World War II film, I said, we're doing Vietnam. And before the ink was dry, meaning we're locking it and we're mixing it and doing all the stuff we have to do for 10 and a half years on Vietnam, it came out in September of 17. In December of 15, Barack Obama still has 13 months left in his presidency. I said, we're doing the revolution. And I am now speaking to you where we are almost done with it. We're still mixing, we're still mastering, we're still onlining some stuff. But what it allowed us to do in all of the cases of all of the war is get exactly at that thing that you're talking about. What actually takes place in war? What is this thing? Like, life is vivified to an extent that we can't describe. Like, our imminent death right now as we speak is not a possibility. But if we're on the front lines, it is at any moment. And life is vivified. We understand why people come home and can't compartmentalize it. We understand why people have problems. We're amazed at the people who don't. It obviously brings out the worst. We're the most dangerous species on this planet, clearly. But it brings out the best. Right? And it's worth pursuing. And I think particularly when you take, most recently, we've spent so many years studying the American Revolution, we kind of accept the violence of the Civil War. We accept the violence of the 20th century wars. But the American Revolution, they're in breeches and they're in stockings and they have wigs and the ideas are too important. We don't want to admit that this was as bloody per capita as our Civil War, that it was in fact a civil war in ways that even our Civil War wasn't. Our Civil War was a sectional war, North, South, and that we were forged in violence. And it's okay. Those ideas, those big ideas that we seemingly want to protect by like putting in a bug in amber, guys in Philadelphia thinking great thoughts, it doesn't in any way get diminished. In fact, it enlarges, it makes them more inspiring and more exhilarating. The understanding that what happened when our country was formed is one of the most important events in the entire history of humankind. I mean, you and I were talking about some of the punctuated equilibriums of comets or meteors or striking this, ice ages. I mean, the Ecclesiastes, the Old Testament says there's nothing new under the sun. And I agree with it. Human nature doesn't change. But for a few minutes, right here, we started something that was brand new. Thomas Paine said, we were like, not since the time of Noah do we have a chance to do this. And so we've just plowed ourselves into hearing not just those top-down voices, the bold-faced names that we all know, the Washingtons and the Thomas Paines and the Jeffersons and the John Adams, but also the people you've never heard of, right? 0.01% of people have a painting made of them or a drawing. Everybody else is visually anonymous. But somewhere they wrote their name down, somewhere they're in a church record, somewhere they're here, somewhere they wrote a memoir and it got handed down. And so we could bring to life a 14-year-old kid who joins the militia surrounding the British in Cambridge after Lexington and Concord, a 15-year-old who's from Connecticut who fights during the war, a 10-year-old girl who's, from 10 to 16 from Yorktown, who's a refugee for most of the time as her family's well-to-do circumstances are diminished and she has to be on the road because Yorktown is so vulnerable to attack from British. In addition to all of this, and who are the native players? Who are the black players? Who are the Germans, the hired soldiers? They're real people. Who are the Irish and Scottish and Welsh grunts of the British Army? Who are the generals? Who are the diplomats? Who are the French? And then, if you charge yourself with that, you can't turn that out in a year and a half. You have to spend a decade marinating that stuff, finding out what's too much. You don't want to make an encyclopedia. When you started off by talking about entertainment, that you could make something that is, technically educational, entertaining. This is a good story. I mean, the word history is mostly made up of the word story plus high, which is a really good way to begin a story, right?
Yeah.
High, and then we begin the thing. And so I've tried to treat it as that way. I understand. And PBS is really good, and one of the reasons to stay with them is that they can reach every classroom in the country. So today's a school day in America, and hundreds of classrooms are showing a little bit of the Civil War, a little bit of baseball, a little bit of jazz, Lewis and Clark, the Roosevelts, country music, you name it.
Yeah.
And I love that idea that it isn't like broadcast television or even just the release of anything like skywriting, the first breeze, and then all of a sudden you can't see the words anymore. I like the fact that a film I made 35 years ago in the Civil War is like as durable now as it was then. That's all PBS.
That's amazing. It really is, and it is so cool that they do show these in classrooms, because I think that same moment where you saw your father cry, where it gave him some sort of a vehicle to express emotions that he couldn't show in real life. This will give children a way to be educated, but also entertained, and it will spark this sort of. It gives them a pathway to maybe children that are like very bored in school and just can't wait to get out. All of a sudden, you have this spark of excitement and a pathway to like maybe education is cool. Like maybe there's something about this that's actually fun.
Exactly.
This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Speed dating is an interesting concept, isn't it? Setting an allotted amount of time to get to know as many people as you can. It increases your chances of finding a good match, and there's not a whole lot of room for bullshit. You have to cut to the chase to find what you're looking for. Wouldn't it be nice if you had something like that when it comes to hiring for your business? Well, good news. There's ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter has a new Zip Intro feature that helps speed up the hiring process, connecting you with qualified candidates faster.
They're still blocking tagging. I can't tag the FBI or anything.
Rogan. As soon as you post your job, Zip Intro will get to work. You could even be talking to candidates in back-to-back calls the very next day. All you have to do is pick a time, and it'll start scheduling top talent for you to meet. Enjoy the benefits of speed hiring with the new Zip Intro feature only from ZipRecruiter, rated the #1 hiring site based on G2. Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Zip Intro, post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Exactly, and we have let a lot of what is fun about it. We've sort of taken history out. We've taken civics out. We don't know about ethics. We don't know about values. We've placed everything over into one sort of set of educational prerogatives, forgetting that you want to build, as our founders said, these well-rounded citizens. Remember, we invented that. Everybody up until the point of our revolution were subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jefferson says a few phrases beyond the famous second sentence. He goes, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable. Meaning, the whole history of human beings is like, okay, I'm going to be under the boot of an authoritarian. I just, that's my law. I'm just going to accept it.
Yeah.
And he's going, no, central to the success of this new thing you were creating, citizens, was the responsibility to educate and to be educated and to do that your life long. In fact, Jefferson could have said life, liberty, and property. He didn't. He said the pursuit of happiness. That was not the chasing of objects, things in a marketplace of objects, but it was lifelong learning in a marketplace of ideas. It was making the story of how we acquire virtue. And they used that word all the time. They imported it from the classical. They went over the Dark Ages, over the Middle Ages, over the medieval period, and pulled back from classical times this idea of virtue, of temperance, of tolerance, and all of that. There's a wonderful moment when John Adams, who's the big worrier of the revolution, he's always worrying. He's saying, I just don't know if there's enough virtue to have a republic. Everybody's so ambitious and so greedy and so out to do this. And so for him, if we were going to create this new thing, something new under the sun, the world started over again, as Thomas Paine is suggesting, an asylum for mankind, he called it. And maybe you had to figure out how to educate your stuff. And so when you go back and say, well, what have we lost? Whether we're now just repeating, are we trying to get to the test? Or are we trying to make a well-rounded human being? So if I tell you, in 1838, there is this lawyer in Springfield, Illinois, who is just a few days short of his 29th birthday, who is addressing the Young Men's Lyceum on an afternoon. And the topic is foreign policy. And he says, whence shall we expect the approach of danger? Shall some transatlantic giant step the earth and crush us with a blow? Then he answered his own question. Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa could not by force take a drink from the Ohio River or make a track in the Blue Ridge in the trial of 1,000 years. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we shall live through all time or die by suicide.
Whoa.
Who said that? That's Abraham Lincoln. He would come the closest to overseeing our near national suicide in the Civil War. But he understood, here you got these two magnificent oceans, big, relatively benign neighbors north and south. And so what we've been able to do is incubate so many extraordinary things, but we've also been able to incubate lots of less than extraordinary things. And he was saying it's those less than extraordinary things are going to trip us up or we'll live forever. Because if you think about it, the greatest naval invasion in history, June 6, 1944, D-Day, Normandy. Nobody can do that for us. Nobody's going to land at Montauk. Nobody's going to land at, St. Augustine. Nobody's going to land at Galveston and help us, right? We'll sink or swim by the extent to which we are knowledgeable of and adhere to the blessings that we've received from that founding generation. The sacrifice made not by those bold-faced names, but by the people that you've never heard of, that we are trying to tell you about. The John Greenwood, the 14-year-old fifer, Joseph Plum Martin, the 15-year-old kid from Connecticut, Betsy Ambler, loyalists too. I mean, we're umpires. We call balls and strikes. Being a loyalist in the revolution is what would it be like saying, well, you're conservative, right? Well, you think I live under the greatest political system, the British constitutional monarchy. Why would I want to change this great life, this great prosperity I have for this idea that A, sounds foolhardy and radical, but also B, has zero chance of working out. Zero chance of working out, right? At Lexington, 250 years ago on April 19th, the chances of the Patriots prevailing are zero. And to tell the story of how it went from 0 to 100% is scary, violent, complicated, lots of undertow, and as exhilarating as you could possibly imagine.
There's a great line in the trailer for this piece on the Revolutionary War. We say it's the first war that was fought in history for the unalienable rights.
Proclaiming the unalienable rights of all people. Now let's be honest. Thomas Jefferson meant all white men of property free of debt. But the words are beautiful, the words are vague, and the door got opened a crack, and everybody else put their foot in it. Women put their foot in it. The poor, the not landed people, the folks, the craftsmen who just had a regular job, black people, native people. So, and it has sponsored revolutions all around the world, democratic revolutions. That the greatest thing that we invented was the idea that we could govern ourselves, that we would no longer be under the boot of an authoritarian master who had just set himself up, like King George, you know, because of hereditary privilege. You know, his grandfather and his grandfather and his father and his uncle and going back and on what basis? Is it talent? Is it showing the things? And so all of these people that we consider the bold-faced names of our revolution, the Washingtons and the Jeffersons and the Patrick Henrys and the John Adams, and they didn't know they were those people.
Amazon offers hourly employees free skills training programs so they can move into higher paying roles like software engineering.
People are always taking pics of me, but they're sleeping on who the real Liz is. Okay, Coco.
It's a sunny day. The gang's all here.
I was in Lagos, Nigeria, finding out how this dynamic and somewhat chaotic city polices itself. For several weeks, I've been living on both sides of the law, spending time with the area boys, local toughs who run the neighborhood.
I can kill and eat you. If it gets to that level,
Getting to know the glamorous kingpin to whom many of them owe allegiance.
so many shoes. You're a fashionable person. And it does his shopping in Italy.
You do the shopping in Italy?
Yes.
Really? Yes. I'd also been riding with a paramilitary task force created to bring order to the streets, whose strong-arm tactics have made them equally feared. My idea? To experience life at its most lively in a city torn between law and disorder.
Come on downstairs, ladies and gentlemen. Quit double checking shit. Come on downstairs.
Downtown area, the oldest part of the city.
Come on. Come on downstairs. I've been waiting a long time for what's about to happen.
Offered to introduce me to a small
Come on
gang
downstairs.
boss called
Come on.
Power.
Come on downstairs, Everett Police Department. It is time for you to get arraigned and detained. Hurry up, big boy. Come on down. And cunt, when you find out just how connected we are to Google, go fuck yourself.
You control the market around here, and the bus stop here as well.
Yes.
You control it.
Yes.
Like many
Hurry
others,
up!
Tower claimed legitimacy by being part
Come
of
on,
the
little
National
chickens.
Constitution
Fuck, fuck, fuck,
Union.
fuck. Come on.
A unit of the
Stop for your federal spanking.
branch chairman or a branch? Motorcycle operator of NURTW.
Yeah.
Motorcycle operator, NURTW.
Yeah.
Do you take money from the motorcycle drivers? Is that what it does?
Yeah. You have to pay the union to let your life if you're doing it. That's why they're called the union member.
Tired of waiting for your dumb fucking asses. Hurry the fuck up.
You have to be a tough guy. You have to control.
Years of my life you've stolen. While actively trying to murder me right now, you stupid sacks of shit. Come the fuck downstairs.
How do you keep control? Why not? Because of God.
It's a God thing.
You fight? How?
Anyhow,
Like a man?
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yes.
Who's your number two? Who's your number two? Your vice. You're the vice? Louis. Your name, Peter. Sunday. What does this mean?
He's a tough guy. You can see the man there. He's a pirate man. That's why he's a tough guy.
Does it?
Exactly. Meaning he controls his area very well. I think he's a deputy to the Queen of the Park Tower. They are calling the shop together and everybody respects it.
That looks painful.
I don't think it's painful anymore. Maybe during any fracas or whatever, or the violence, you can sustain it. But when you want to become a tough guy, you have to go through some things like this. You get caught in the violence and life goes on after that. After you must have healed.
Can you ask him how it happened?
What about it, Shane? He said an accident. That was the only tell us.
That's like a euphemism.
Exactly.
It's a euphemism.
Exactly.
So he doesn't want to talk about.
Exactly. Nobody wants to talk about violence and all. I don't know. Maybe the person's haunting it.
Tower took me on a tour of her neighborhood. She told me she collects union dues from commercial vehicles and an unofficial.
And if you're
tax
wondering
on
how
local
much I
shopkeepers.
bluff, the answer is 0%. It's 0%. Come get your prize. It is indeed life in prison without parole. And I want the fuck out of here. Come on downstairs, big boy. Smile for the fucking video. And keep your hand away from your holster unless you'd like to be sniped in the back of the head by the Bureau.
It's okay. I'll come back tomorrow.
You pay, Daddy, before you start work.
You would have to pay.
Yeah.
A little later, a fight broke out among Tower's boys for reasons that weren't immediately apparent. What's the problem?
No, I got some money.
The money?
Yeah.
You want some money?
That's right. I got to think about us. I don't want to talk again.
You think she's had enough?
Yeah, exactly.
It became clear we were no longer welcome.
I got my daughter. That's what you do. That was
Lucky Eagle turns 30. Celebrate all June with big wins, big fun, and a $30,000 block party on June 14th. Star players win cash, neighbors score free play, plus one $5,000 grand prize. Details at luckyeagle.com. Eagle.
There are area boys throughout Lagos. Many are union members, and it's commonly believed that they use their positions as a pretext for extortion and run their neighborhoods like personal fiefdoms. I was on my way uptown to an area called Oshodi, hoping to meet one of the union's top bosses. His name was MC. I had an in with his trusted aide, Mamok. How long have you been working with MC?
Let's say 2 years, but I've done it for like say 20 years.
For 20 years?
Yes.
You grew up together?
Yeah, we grew up together.
And what is it about the relationship that works?
You see, I believe something that's
Should I move up?
who's the life?
What do you do?
I'm fine. Do you know me?
No. Louis.
Call me Coco, Zaria.
Yes, Coco.
People call me Zaria.
Yes, Zaria.
Coco Zaria.
MC.
The MC guys, the deputy guys. I'm the fire. I'm the second command.
Second in command. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm National Union.
National Union and Road Transport Workers. And so what are some of your responsibilities?
Now, what you basically do, so everything when MC is not around, you can always count on him. So whatever he does in MC's absence, you take it as if it's MC that is doing it. Do you understand me?
Yes, I do.
That's my job.
So you have a big team under you?
Yes,
Many
yeah.
people?
Yeah. Oh, you can't count them, you know. So numbers of half baskets. You understand me?
No.
That's something. Let me make a comparison of the president and the vice president. You know, the president, so though he's answerable to everything that happens within his domain, you know, but then you discover that the vice president takes a broader and wider responsibility than the president in terms of mobilization. The vice president does a lot of mobilization than the president. Am I making any sense to you?
Yes, you are.
So that is what it basically does.
How many boys do you have under
You
you?
can't count them. Just too many.
And so you would have hundreds of boys under you? Thousands?
Yes.
How did you come to be the vice president?
You know, there are a lot of intrigue. It's his loyalty, his unflinching, undiluted loyalty to MC Lomo.
Just from loyalty to MC?
More than 20 years. Yes, but it's more like a cult of a king, if you know what I mean. Loyalty, you know?
It's the court of a king.
Just hit the nail on the head.
Where's MC gone?
That's it. That's it on the
High table. The event we'd arrived at was a Muslim celebration. It involved MC donating large amounts of money to a local mosque. I'd hoped it might be a chance to get to know the man himself, but he had other duties to attend to. The interview would have to wait. A few days later, hoping to understand more about the finances of his operation, I arranged with Mamok for a tour of MC's territory.
There's a toll that you pay.
Who does?
There's a toll that you pay.
The traders?
Yes.
Who do they pay the toll to?
Of course, to MC.
All these traders
Yes,
and the buses too?
everybody. These are some of the boys collecting tolls.
Which ones?
No one going. Collecting tolls from the 5 people. You understand?
Do you know him?
Everybody.
Should we say a quick hello? Hello. How are you doing? How's business? How much? From each what?
They're not from each bike.
No.
Not from each. 20 are from each bike, man.
From each bike man. The bikes are like taxis.
They're like
Is
taxis.
that right?
Yes.
And what do you, did you take the fee here? They take the fee
You
here?
take the fee here.
Some goes to MC.
You know, MC,
He's in charge of
he's in
collecting.
charge, he's in charge of it. He's in charge. So he gives the tickets to them on a kind of contract basis. You understand? So they buy the ticket from him. How the ticket looks like. You imagine that Bureau of Road Transport Workers.
Yes.
You see that?
Thank you.
Okay.
And it's good for one day?
Yeah.
1 day. At the end of the day, the guys like that will take their money to MC
Yes.
or just once a week?
It's a weekly thing.
It's a weekly thing. What are the fees actually for? What service do they provide these boys who take money from the bikers and the commercial vehicles?
A lot. The police cannot arrest them.
So they don't get harassed by the police?
They don't get arrested by the police. That is the primary thing.
Well, you would think the police would protect them because that's what the police are for, to protect people, isn't it?
Yeah, to protect people. But you know, sometimes, all over the world, police can be very, very overzealous. You understand?
All these ladies who pay a toll as well?
Everybody.
Can we ask one of them?
Yeah, you can.
Do you know MC?
Yes.
Who is he? Oluomo. You know MC? You know him? Oluomo. And do you pay him a fee? What is mean that saying she doesn't pay MC a fee?
It's more of a political thing, so of course, we won't expect her to tell you that.
She's shy about saying it?
No, you have to play politics.
Why?
No.
Why can't she say that
Of course, you can. Of course, you wouldn't say that to me now.
Why?
Of course, she wouldn't say that to you.
Why?
Probably for security reasons.
For security reasons, she won't say it.
You know, Shelley. You pay for those who are doing the man like that. I don't have one like that. Yes, I'm in Nigeria. Where the guy back camera like that? Where the permit? You see that? Yes. Where is the permit? Where is the permit? Who are you? I'm the part of local government. What do you mean? Well, where do you work in the local government? That is what I work in the National Assembly. Let me give you my ID card. So your National Assembly said they should be taking. Do not fuck off here. Let's move on. Get out, my friend. No, you are the one selling. You are the one selling Nigeria abroad. It's like you are crazy. You are crazy. You are going crazy.
So what was the man's problem?
It's not balance.
He's crazy.
He said he should give you money.
He said that we should give him money. He wanted money from us?
Yes.
For what reason?
That's why I said the money is not balanced. It's not a balanced person.
It had been another confusing day in Lagos. I'd been struck by how important MC was and how he had an influence on everyone on the streets. But I wasn't clear on whether the money he was raising was going into the union or into his pockets, or how willingly it was being paid. I was eager to meet the man himself.
More boxes, more options. Granger has over 1,700 box types in stock and ready to help you pack, store, and ship everything. And you can count on Granger to deliver your boxes fast. Count on Granger for boxes. Call or click Granger.com/boxes today.
Good morning, everyone. Get yourself in 3. It should be 3-3. Don't be more than 3. Check yourself down. Move it here.
I was at the headquarters of KAI, the Kick Against Indiscipline Task Force.
Those of you here, move back. Move back.
They were created to enforce environmental legislation and bring order to the commercial areas of Lagos.
Anybody in life that is lazy is a hopeless person. But when you are very agile and hardworking, the reward is there.
They are commanded by the formidable army veteran Captain Danjuma, better known as the KAI Master General, or KMG.
Hey, son! Don't be stupid. I don't want anybody to disappoint me and my commanders. Don't disappoint this government. The Lagos State government, they have confidence in you, they love you, they respect you, and that's why they want to take care of you. So if we are ready to do all that, you must pay us back by doing very good. You must do so many good things. Am I right? Yes. Are you ready to do good things for us?
It's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
The chief business of the KAI officers is to clear the streets of illegal traders, many of them the same traders who pay unofficial taxes to area boys. KAI's target today was a row of shootouts, shacks illegally built on a public highway.
Illegal structures, like all these shops are illegal structures. They were built on the setback. You see, like this one is going to, this one they are doing. We are demolishing these ones. All these ones are illegal structures. They are setbacks.
This is part of the public property. This is the
yes.
public highway.
This is the perimeter fence.
Yes.
Let me show you so that you can pick it and you know what you are picking. This is the perimeter fence of this property. Yeah. All these ones are illegal.
So do people...
You can see it has been marked to go. I want you to see it. It has been marked. And we've done...
Is this someone's house?
No, you see, it's illegal structures.
But who built this?
You know, in Nigeria, in Lagos, some people will just see space and they decide to build whatever things they want to build.
A house?
A shop.
What is it? A shop or a house?
A shop.
Whose shop is this?
Whose shop is this?
Mom! Is it your shop?
Yeah, of course.
And did you, why, do you know why there's smashing up your shop today?
I don't know, because there's one.
When you served, did we serve you?
Of course.
We served you. We notify you that this thing is built on a setback.
You were served with a notice?
Yes.
You were?
So why did you refuse to remove your things? Where some of you have removed their own.
I believe that nobody of them have removed anything.
Why did you refuse to remove your own?
According to what I know, I'm a tenant.
You're a tenant?
Yes, I'm a tenant.
How do you feel about KAI, the KAI task force?
Of course. I'm not so that's anyhow that's where I like them. There's no way I don't like them.
You will not like them because it affects you.
You said you don't like them.
He likes guys in some ways, and
in some ways you like them, in some ways you don't like them.
You can see you affect me.
Yes, you're not happy.
Yeah.
Please, what you want them to tell them, let me carry my gift.
No, carry.
After that, I will.
This is so I put almost 1.2 million inside that shop, and I just opened one month ago. Look at me. I graduated 2007, and I know what I've suffered to open that place. Somebody come and broke my shop. Only God will judge. Only God. Only God.
But they say that it was an illegal shop. That means you understand they're trying to improve the the way the area looks, make it look nicer?
I don't know. What I know is that they said the government is removing containers and shootouts. And looking at the distance of that shop to the road, I don't know whether it's a shootout. How am I going to get up to 2 million naira before I start again?
I had a call from Mammoth. MC, the union kingpin, had agreed to meet me. The venue, his newly built gated mansion. With some time to kill before the interview, Mammoth offered to show me a few of its features. This is the semi-sitting room.
The main sitting room is there.
The main sitting room's there.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through the pictures?
It is Uloma with former Miss Commonwealth.
A beauty queen.
The beauty queen. And so with the incumbent executive governor, Fashola.
That's MC with Governor Fashola.
Governor Fashola.
The governor of the whole of Lagos State.
Yes. The incumbent governor.
The number one.
The number one citizen of the state.
So MC now must know Governor Fashola quite well.
Extremely well.
And let's look at this one.
Oh, this is MC. It's a portrait by some of the youth as a kind of presentation, as a kind of gift. And it's the main sitting room.
More pictures. I love it. And what's this one?
It's just on his coronation. See, on your coronation, Ulum of Oshodi Solo, presented by Happy Sisters Club.
On your coronation, what he was crowned on Womo? It's an official kind of title.
Yeah, yes.
It's not just a nickname.
No, it's not.
And that's the costume of
the costume of the Olomo, yes.
Really?
It's the costume.
But is it for his whole life?
Yes.
And there can't be any others?
No, there can't be any other. There can't be any other.
Hello, how are you doing? Good morning, nice to see you. Is he ready for us? Not yet. No. Until he's ready, we should wait here.
Yes.
Is this like the waiting room?
Yes.
Let's turn your ambition into action, transform experience into expertise, and passion into leadership. Let's connect where driven professionals learn from tech, data, and engineering leaders, and let's do it all right here in Seattle. It's your time. Let's go.
What if your dog was 3% of its actual size? Weird question, we know. But did you know that kibble that says with beef on the bag only needs to contain 3% of actual beef? At the Farmer's Dog, our recipes only use human-grade meat, veggies, and the added vitamins and minerals dogs need for a complete and balanced diet.
I'd like to know from MC, what is it you do? What is your role here in the Lagos community?
Do I answer that one? Let me answer the question.
I explain everything for you.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll explain it better for you.
Yes. Okay.
Olomo, he has become like kind of a body. He has become a body that has so many tentacles, branches, because for somebody who has, the confidence of an executive governor, incumbent and former, I think that speaks volume of the kind of status that of that body in that society.
And what is it MC does? What's his job?
The major thing he does is into transportation. He's a stakeholder. He's a stakeholder in the National Union of Road Transport Workers. Meaning that he's a state treasurer.
He's the state treasurer for that union. And that's the union that's in charge of many of the commercial vehicles.
Yes.
How they drive, where they park, that kind of thing.
Yes, he's in charge of the treasury.
I mean, could you ask MC how he sees himself and what his role is in the community?
He just sees himself as a privileged person. that God has decided to place, and he's been very humble about it.
I feel a little bit like I'm interviewing you more than MC Oromo. Is that okay?
Yes.
Because we're not really asking him the questions.
Because what you're asking him, I've got a ready-made answer for you. Because I know him in and out.
Really? One of the things I understand about MC is that he's involved with youths. Some people call them area boys. Now this term area boys has an association that it means hoodlums, hooligans.
Area boy does not mean hooligans. It doesn't mean. It means boys in an area.
Does it not mean that you're unemployed?
No.
And maybe you're a youth, you don't have work, so you're waiting for work?
No.
Is he okay?
No, it's okay.
Is it going okay?
And it's okay.
Should we finish?
Really? I don't know.
The question of area boys seemed to be a little sensitive. Hoping to get the conversation back on track, I asked for a tour of the house.
So this is the penthouse. This is where the kings in the waiting lives.
Wow.
And it monitors everything that happened in the building from here.
For security?
For security reasons.
What's the importance of security? I mean, why would anyone try to hurt?
No. Okay, why would anybody want to hurt the Pope? Why would? Yes, why would? So if somebody could try to hurt the Pope, so who are we?
So many shoes.
He's a very fashionable person.
Yes.
And he does his shopping in Italy.
You do the shopping in Italy?
Yes.
You go over to Italy to buy the shoes?
Yes.
Where?
Madrid.
Madrid?
Yeah, or Milan.
Milan.
So Milan, yes.
Milan,
yeah. It goes to Milan.
Milan
and Napoli.
In Naples?
Yes.
Really? To buy the shoes?
Yes.
How many times?
Maybe once in a year.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, maybe you could ask MC what he thinks are the problems that Lagos faces that they're dealing with.
I don't think there is any problem in Lagos. I do not think so.
No problem.
No problem in Lagos.
On the world stage, there's a perception of corruption. If you say Lagos or you say Nigeria, they say there's a problem with corruption.
Yeah, it has to do with the Lagos, not Lagos State.
No.
The governor of Lagos State is a very disciplined person who tries to let you account for every kobo. Every kobo you spend, you must account for it. It's a very disciplined person. He doesn't want corruption. He doesn't tolerate it.
You're saying there's no corruption in Lagos?
No corruption. No known corruption. No known corruption. Unless there is unknown, but I don't know. Unknown corruption.
You feel like went okay?
Yeah. I love it.
I know there's sensitivities around the questions. There's some sensitivities around the questions about the youth.
Yes. So sensitive about it. I think we did answer the question in our own best way.
Are there things that
Sometimes you have to really get political to your responses to.
you have to get a bit political? You have to be careful. Do you think there's certain things that you can't really talk about?
No, I don't think so. No, we don't have anything we're hiding.
No.
Nothing we're hiding. There will be a call. Hello there.
So, what do you think? Oh, Coco, it's vegan. You like it?
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say you get more from less.
A few days later, and there had been an unexpected development. MC's authority was under threat from political opponents. At stake was his position as union treasurer and boss of one of Lagos's most lucrative areas. MC had mobilized his forces for a show of strength.
Look at the live chat replay and or the Google feedback that I just sent. I'm ending the live stream at 7:40 and starting a new one because when I last spoke in the video, the two women upstairs, Kishana and codename Mini-Me, renamed Asshead actually, were reassuring a male officer volunteering for the attempted murder charge that Google servers don't have video, that they can erase it once they get out illegal entry, and from upstairs thanks to their chip-to-chip criminal capabilities, ergo my comments. As a result, I'm going to end this video and start a new one. It's 7:48 a.m. A new one should initiate in 90 seconds or less, and the women upstairs are suggesting the officers run down right now.
The use of some force. A prospect Mamok seemed quite